Last week, Governor Mark Dayton unveiled his budget for the next biennium here in the great state of Minnesota, and it has some large spending increases in it. To put this in perspective, Governor Dayton's very first budget that he proposed in 2010-2011 for the biennial is $29.6 billion. That's what we spent to run our state government in 2010 and 2011. In 2012-2013, it was a pretty big increase. This is when we were facing huge budget surpluses, or huge budget deficits, and so forth. We had a budget increase to $35.3 billion. 2014-2015, that's the biennial cycle we're spending right now. We're at $39.5 billion. And now for the next biennial, they're talking about $41.7 billion. Now, granted, from this one to the last one, that's not a huge increase. But going back to 2010 till now, that is a 19.4% increase in state spending in the state of Minnesota. Do you think you've seen 19.4% of better services in the state of Minnesota? Do you think you've even seen 10% better? 5% better? I'm just confused where all this money's going. And some of the proposals with the governor's budget, to me, are astounding. One of them I want to talk about, and here's the thing, I like this proposal personally. I've actually advocated for this, but now I've seen the dollar amount for it, and I'm reeling back a little bit. And here's why. It's the way the governor wants to pay for it. One of the things Governor Dayton has proposed in his state budget is huge investments in education. And I'm talking huge increases in spending that we're doing now. And we can debate those on different levels. But one particular end of it is early education. Of course, 2 years ago, the state of Minnesota started all-day, everyday kindergarten. Now Governor Dayton wants all-day, everyday preschool for all 4-year-olds in the state of Minnesota. Now, it wouldn't be mandatory, but he wants the state to be able to provide it. The early estimates are for the first year of such a program would probably cost around $350 million. The second year of such a program would probably be up over $400 million, and who knows how much it'll go up from there. The governor's option to pay for this, he says, is with our surplus. The state of Minnesota has about $1 billion surplus. Problem is, I don't think anybody should be allocating surplus-type funding for programs that you intend to keep going for a long time. To me, surplus money needs to be spent on one-time things, such as a road project, a highway project, some type of new building, something you only got to pay for once, not to maintain a program that you want to maintain for years and years to go. One-time money, like a surplus, should be spent on one-time things. Things that are going to be kept for long periods of time need to be budgeted for over those long periods of time. And we're already talking about $1 billion overtaxed last year. Remember, we got $1 billion surplus going on right now. To me, this is just another sign that the state of Minnesota is just convinced that it wants to tax its citizens into poverty. The transportation funding is already a huge thing. Governor Dayton talking about 6.5% increase on gasoline tax for every single gallon you buy. So sure, when it's $2 a gallon, that's 13 cents more a gallon. You're paying $2, now you're going to pay $13. Gas is eventually going to get up to $4 a gallon at some time, probably in the next couple years. Well, when that happens, you're talking more than $0.25 per gallon more. Over the course of several years, how does that not add up to a high tax? And how is not a high tax on probably some of the people that can afford to pay it the least? Those that are struggling to probably pay their bills day to day. When Governor Dayton passed his $1 billion budget surplus with huge taxes 2 years ago, he said he wasn't going to hurt low-income Minnesotans. Yet, to me, the cigarette tax, considering most people of low income, at least 75% of smokers, are at that $32,000 level or lower, so you're middle class to low middle class, share the largest burden of that tax. Gasoline is paid for by all, whether you're rich or poor, which means to me that's a huge burden on them. Now, some will say that we're not spending nearly as high a percentage on gasoline tax that we were, let's say, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But still, nonetheless, it's money out of our pockets. And right now, I don't think the economy is running on as high cylinders as we want to believe, or oil prices wouldn't have bottomed out the way they are because of foreign market, stock market changing. Point is, I think Minnesota needs to bring in its spending. $42 billion sounds like a big budget. I don't know if we needed a 20% increase in 5 years.